Orton and Roman Reigns losing to the New Day. We got Dean Ambrose being added to the main event of the next pay-per-view Payback. And you got John Cena literally in one of the best matches that I've ever seen on Raw in a while for the US title with Sami Zayn. This was a great night. Guys, I really did not expect this Raw to be good because usually after a pay-per-view, it's always a bust. But this Raw in Montreal was one of the, it was, I would say, one of the best Raws in a while. Now, of course, Extreme Rules is always the best pay-per-view after WrestleMania. It's the pay-per-view that people look forward to because it happens to be a good one, especially the one starting off. Unfortunately, this Extreme Rules kind of fell flat, but I will say this, they made it up in Montreal. They really did. And it was great to see two guys that are supposed to be faces in the ring going against one another in a feud, but not to mention going up against New Day. I'm not a fan of New Day, but it was interesting to see how New Day was able to beat them. And Kane is definitely becoming my favorite. Like, seriously, I've always loved Kane. I loved Kane when he was the Big Red Machine, but now since that is no more and that's not going to come back, they actually did have redeeming qualities for Kane and literally made him an authority figure. And I guess he's supposed to be a face now. I don't know. I don't care. But I just love this Kane. The fact that he not only put one over on Seth Rollins, he actually did make good matches that were worth watching. And it wasn't anything corny and unpredictable. It was great. Like, the entire night was wonderful. I loved it. I loved every bit of it. The fact that you added the stipulation with Dean Ambrose against Seth Rollins was one of the best moves I have ever seen anyone do. And it actually worked. Like, you thought there was going to be some kind of conflict. They were going to change their minds and then they go in a different direction. No, they kept with it. And not to mention, he won. It was great. I was screaming to the top of my lungs with happiness. I have never been so happy and literally awake and alive, feeling, not alive, but I guess I'm getting a little bit too far here. But I am saying that I have never been awake watching Raw all the way through in a very long time. It was a great Raw to watch. And what was the highlight of the night for me was Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn versus John Cena. Everybody on Twitter, of course, thought it was going to be a squash match. It was not a squash match. Sami Zayn literally gave John Cena a run for his money. And you can't call it a squash match, people, because Sami Zayn looked great. He looked amazing in the ring. He literally gave John Cena something worth fighting for, and John Cena didn't expect him to be that good. You can tell the look on his face. He didn't really expect it to be that good. But I really think that Sami Zayn probably did injure his shoulder actually going against John Cena. But if that wasn't it, and he was actually playing the injury really well, he was playing the injury really well. Either or, guys, that was one of the best matches I have ever seen a newcomer do without it being completely one-sided or a squash match to the opponent. It was a great match to watch. I enjoyed every bit of it. Man, was it great. But I will say the one-sided thing that I kind of sort of expected was the Divas match. Now, actually seeing Naomi, it's nice to see Naomi come out there with the leather being all heelish, but the one thing that really does bug me is Tamina, and I really do hope that Tamina is actually a tag team partner and not a bodyguard. That chick's a bodyguard more times than I can count on several hands. She has never been able to be a diva on her own, but I'm hoping I'm wrong here. I really, really am. But I will say that it really did wake up the Montreal crowd. The Montreal crowd loved so much to see Sami Zayn in the ring, and it was great how Bret Hart actually did announce Sami Zayn to come down to the ring for the match with John Cena. But the one thing that and also another thing that bothers me, and there's not a lot of things that bothered me for this Raw. Another thing that bothers me is Fandango. Fandango was great being chickless. He was great being without a chick on his arm, because you really want to see Fandango for who he is, a great wrestler. He is a great wrestler. He wasn't great starting off. He was still a bit off. He was still kind of sketchy in a few areas, but he's improved over time. And I want to see him perform. I don't want to see him with another chick on his arm, because that's going to take away from who Fandango is. But then I know Fandango is actually supposed to be a dancer, so it makes sense for him to have a dancer on his arm. But now that Summer Rae is no longer with him, and now Rosa Mendez is no longer with him, there's a chance that Lana may be the next chick. I'm hoping that won't be the case. I kind of want Fandango to be by himself and kind of actually perform on his own, so the focus will be taken off of him and on the ladies. But speaking of Lana, why are they going back to the whole Sable route? I don't understand. Sable Mark Merrow, why are they going to the whole Sable Mark Merrow thing instead of actually doing something different than that? But it's a given that Lana's going to probably be going off on her own because Rusev is actually speaking more. That is a given. But the one thing that bothers me is that I really don't want them to rehash something that worked back in the day. They need to actually be fresh and new. But unfortunately, they're going back to the old. And I guess that's to be expected, but that's kind of dumb. But that's just my opinion of it. But either or, we move on to the main event. Now, there were lots of things that actually went on. There were other matches besides all that. And I guess I could talk about Ryback, but why? I mean, honestly, the crowd did not care about Ryback. They weren't hungry for Ryback. They were full. But honestly, they didn't care much about Ryback, but they actually cared a little bit about Bray Wyatt. But either or, the feud still seems weird and random. There's really no reason for Bray Wyatt to be going after Ryback. There's never been any acknowledgement about Bo Dallas, unless that was something they're going to start and quit. But we really don't know why they're feuding. It's just something that's randomly happening. And I still don't know, and I'm confused, but it's Bray Wyatt. So I guess somehow it works for him. But it's a really dumb feud. And it hasn't really heated up yet. And I don't know why they're trying to start it. But maybe you'll do it later on. But let's move on to the main event of the night. Now, the main event kind of seemed a bit one-sided at first going on. But honestly, I liked it. I really did. You had pretty much the entire all the representatives of the Authority pretty much out there pulling their weight around, stuff like that. But it was great to actually see them perform. But the one thing that I loved about it is that you always kind of thought in your mind that the faces, as usual, be standing tall and true, and then they'll be against each other in the match. Man, there was absolutely no camaraderie. There was no togetherness. There was no unity at all in that ring. Randy Orton took out Roman Reigns, and then Dean Ambrose was the main guy standing tall. I am really hoping that Dean Ambrose is going to be the guy that's going to win it all and actually take the belt from Seth Rollins. And I know that it's wrong that how they set up Roman Reigns, and the fact is that a lot of people are giving Roman Reigns a lot of pity cheers because of what he is going through. But like I said, in my opinion, he's not ready, but I'm not getting into that. It would be nice to actually see Dean Ambrose win something, because he has not won anything yet, let alone had a decent push. But that's for something in a whole new time. That's for a whole new review at a whole different time. But my overall thoughts is this. I was highly impressed with this Raw tonight. I was very excited to see what was going to happen. It didn't seem predictable. It didn't seem overdone. I didn't pay much attention to the commentary. I paid much attention to what was going on in the ring. They actually did a great job, Montreal. They really did. If only they have Raws like this for 3 hours every single night, it won't be that bad. But honestly, they can't really keep this up. But I'm hoping that the next Raw is going to be just like this, or maybe a little bit better. But y'all, I want to hear your thoughts about this. Leave a comment in the comment section below, or send me a video response on your overall thoughts about Raw tonight. I rarely have any complaints, maybe a few, but honestly, it doesn't eclipse anything about the show. It was still a great show, but I still want to hear your thoughts. This is Nature Girl 30 signing off. Peace out, guys. Later.